Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Bhadram Karnebhih Shrunayama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Stirairangaiः Shubhagam Sastanubhiः Vyashedayuः Swasti na Indro Vrudrashravah Swasti nः Pusha Vishwavedaः Swasti nastaksho Arihi Swasti no Brihaspati Om Shanti 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 Hari Om.
I will give you a brief insight about the Focus Assist sessions in Vidyashala. Focus Assist is a motivation and career guidance program for the students incorporating the best practices across various disciplines of study. Swamijis, alumnus, and key resource people mentor to the students to widen their intellectual and emotional horizons and deepen their spiritual and cultural connection. Though discussion was a part of Vidyashala campus life for decades, an organized platform was initiated a couple of years ago titled Focus Assist. Now there will be a small video presentation on Focus Assist. Intern at Volvo Truck Group Operations. Later, Sir worked at Tata Consultancy Services, where he provided bidding framework for new businesses. He has also co-founded Gully Food and Settlers. Sir is a skilled business strategist and entrepreneurship professional. Sri Nishanth Janadri Sir has completed his bachelor's degree of computer science engineering from Goethe Institute of Technology, Belgaum, and has also completed Masters of Information Technology from Vellore Institute of Technology. Later, he was part of the NSR Cell's launch program for entrepreneurial studies conducted by the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. He has also co-founded Gully Food and Settlers. Sir is an expert in identifying and building new business leads by constant exploration in the market trends. He has also collaborated with business heads in the execution of newly charted out strategies. Sir specializes in B2B relationships. Both the speakers for today are alumnus of our very own institution. Some basic information about Settlers. Settlers is a B2B service rental platform. The Bangalore-based startup was incubated by the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. It provides furniture, home appliances, fitness equipment, and IT infrastructure to startups and co-living spaces on lease basis. Settlers has rented out about 35,000 assets so far to 50 businesses. They use quality materials that ensure superior build quality and result in minimal wear and tear over prolonged use. All their products are curated and trained by designers. They curate perfect furniture packages to suit a customer's need. These packages transform living spaces, making them feel premium. Their company is currently valued at 5.54 million USD, and they have secured recently they have secured a funding of 1.24 million USD. Now I invite both the sirs to begin their speech. Thank you.
Good evening, people. I guess probably it's been 2009, it's about 12 years, I think, we were on that side of the stage. So it's a good thing that we've come back here as a speaker today. Probably what we used to go through here as students, right? I think you guys are really lucky, probably Swamiji getting such things done here, because I was telling Swamiji in general, right? Any Vidyashalite, when he goes out, right, how he's identified, apart from your uniform, right, how you actually get things done. Because here, you guys have been given an opportunity to go through multiple different activities from morning 5 till evening, I think night 10, 15 still should be the same timings, right? So that really helped us in general when we started building our own company, right? So it's not the money, like probably there were fancy words put up that we are valued at about 5.5 million. So leave aside those fancy terms. Like if somebody wants to build something, right, the major factor that you would need is two things. One is how do you build your network? So network in general is how many people do you know it? So there is one theory, Swamiji, which says probably any person that you want to reach out in general, right, is 7th connect of yours. So probably today if I want to reach probably Mr. Modi ji, right? So probably he should be amongst my 7th connect in general. So that's how you actually have to build your network. So because see, in India, right, currently, apart from the merit system, right, there's a lot of references that will help. Reference as such, probably today you might know me and Nishanth, right? So you want to get something done about your entrepreneurship. Someone wants to start their own company. Someone has an idea, right? Probably we'll be a right connect to help you guys facilitate certain things. So two things which you guys would have to build throughout your journey is one, network with probably anyone you meet, because there's a lot of learning that you get when you start meeting people, right? In general, even from an auto driver, tell a CEO of a company that you meet, right? Start understanding how they are going through their life. That is one. Second is any Vidyashalite who can be identified as with their resilience. Resilience means probably one nature is you guys don't give up. Probably when we started, right, so there were probably about 4 or 5 companies started along with us. But after about 12 to 15 months journey, right, they started giving up, saying, let's not pursue this, because that happens when you come out of the college, right, especially the PUC guys, right? So you will see there's a lot of competition amongst your friends itself. So someone's really doing well in a career, somebody's not doing well. So that kind of pressures actually come in. And that is where Vidyashala students excel, because they are the ones who can actually handle the pressure here. And most important thing is you guys know how to behave in a team. So, because I think even we were mentioning, I think Although I spoke to the cricket captain also, we were sad because you guys lost with the teachers because we didn't do that. But if you understand how to work with a team, right, nothing beats that. That is how the best factors are recognized. Individually, you can contribute, but along with the team, right, you can do much better. But saying so, have two things. One, start networking a lot, start meeting people, start probably reaching out to alumni even when you go out, right? Just start addressing them, saying what is happening out. Is there something that I can do? Probably there's one alum present here who's helping the IE cell, right? Something like that, start doing it. Second, whatever you're carrying from the Vidyashala, right, in general in your studies, that is apart from the academics, the daily routine that you're doing, right, that actually teaches you certain things where you don't give up. So these are the two things you factor in. Apart from that, all the other things will start falling in place. Probably somebody might excel when they're at 24, somebody might excel when they're at 26. Probably we still not excel, but we are already close to 30. So there's no time gap as such that you'll have to do this particular thing at this particular timeline, but have these two qualities in, the other things will start falling in place. So these are the two things that I would want every Vidyashalite to take out of this today's talk that will be happening today. Thanks.
Revered Swamijis and my dear students, a very good evening to everyone. Like Gaurav said, right, I mean, he emphasizes more on the network part because even now also he's the guy who speaks and makes a lot of noise in settlers. I used to be this one of the silent kid guys who used to be invisible. So for all the silent kid guys, you know, who gets the blame of Benne, right? You guys can also make a difference, okay? All the Bennes also can make a difference, you can say, okay? I'll tell you how. When I come back, when I look back at our days at Vidyashala, right? Believe me, we would, in your future, you would guys get a label of being slightly uptight, okay? But uptight is, you know, not much flexible. That's the meaning of an uptight kind of thing. But believe me, it's actually being more disciplined. So there's a lot of, there's a thin line of difference between being an uptight or being more disciplined. After so many punishments or getting caught by Swamijis and teachers and not wearing banyan because that. Okay. So there are actually small reasons to it. Okay, that it's not because of the rule that is there. It's because of the hygiene that you need to maintain. Okay, so these things will start. You need not learn these things when you go forward, right? It'll become a part of your DNA. Okay, for example, when Swamiji said that you guys are supposed to be here by 4, we were here by 4 even now. To all our meetings or to any of our classes or any engagements that we do with, right? We always have stuck to time. So here, there, SB sir won't be there, why are you late, right? Even now, no one asks us, but we usually are there. So this is how all these skills can be inculcated within you without your realization. So discipline is one part that you would learn. It'll get imbibed within you, okay? And then punctuality is another one. One major thing why even Swamiji have invited us is the leadership, right? It's not a talent. Like I said, I used to be one of the silent guys, whereas Gaurav and then my other younger brother, Nishanth Janadri, even he is part of Vidyashala. He's an alum, right? These guys used to be these, what do you call this, noise makers who used to get lots of punishments. I mean, half of Gaurav's 8th standard was in the square, right? Okay. But silent guys, like the invisible guys also can make a difference because you'll start getting more maturity, okay? And then when I said leadership, right? See, a few major qualities of being a leader. Like I said, it's not a talent. It is a skill that needs to be developed, okay? And skill that needs to be developed, there's so many skills that can be developed over time, okay? Right now in your high school days or your PUC days, you might start learning drawing or, you know, the media lab is excellent. So that is how you can even start inculcating, growing your leadership qualities as well. And one such major requirement of being a leader is to be able to make a change. Okay, change is going to be that new constant, right? That's what we have heard. And one more learning that I got from from my Vidyashala days, wherein Swamiji used to say with all the discussions and all, like Holy Mother used to say, no work is small, right? I used to yawn at those kinds of quotes. Wherein no work is small. But believe me, even now we practice this thought of school, wherein no work is small. Be it you keeping your bed clean, or be it working on a new idea, or having it discussed within your friends and your teachers. Okay, so that kind of a simplicity is what we'll learn. Okay, and then that is what we can take it forward. And believe me, guys, students graduating out of Vidyashala, it has a different scope altogether, because the kind of learnings that we would have got, although we wouldn't have realized this outside, no one else has been getting this. And when someone in your, even now, till now, when someone here, okay, I studied from Ramakrishna Vidyashala, people would give us special attention. They would want to engage with us, not just because everyone is intelligent, but because of they have a very good emotional constant, spiritual contact. At the same time, they have a empathy as well. Okay, so I would request all you guys to take care of, get the full of each and every opportunity that you come across Vidyashala, because Swamis and teachers have been able to get that to the full extent. So instead of getting bored, I would say put a little more effort in with interest, and make a participation with full heart. Okay, thank you.
Nishanth and Gaurav, I've got a couple of questions before we move on to the audience. This session is a little bit different compared to the other sessions, because both of them, being alumni, would want to interact more with you. So we want to begin the Q&A session a little early. So to start it up, I would like to put a couple of, think more about these questions first. First is, what made you get into this startup industry, which is an industry which is filled with a lot of risks, difficulties, as opposed to, an industry where you have a safe, we talk about the safe 9-to-5 industry, 9-to-5 job. So you go there, come, and the way the parents groom us to ensure that you are in a government job and other things. You are talking about an industry which requires a lot of enterprise. What made you to come into this field? You can be there only, you can answer. Yes.
Probably I'll put it in 2 ways, Swamiji. What made us is, see, there are certain things. Probably some guys are late bloomers, right? Just to give an example of late bloomer, probably people will relate to cricket, right? So maybe Virat Kohli entered the scene very early, back in 2011, right? So maybe now, if you ask anyone, they'll still say, probably I'll choose Surya Kumar Yadav over Virat Kohli because he's a late bloomer, right? So there's no fixed timeline. One is that. Second one is 9-to-5 job along with the education, right, can be gone back even when we are 30. But the right time to experiment is when you guys are young, because one is there's no fear, because the last thing is you'll fail. After that, you'll still get up. So that's the last thing that you have. Second is there's no liability as such, right? Being a 23, 24-year-old guy, your requirements are very minimal and your energy is very high. So this is the right time. If you can channelize certain things, right, you might build a wonderful thing out of it. Even if you fail even at the age of 32, right, along with the education, you can still go back to a job. So that is still there. So people who think in a way, right, whether can I start something, start it when you're young. Probably start it like maybe a hobby or something. See if things are happening. Then channelize maybe some part of your earning into a hobby and start making it like a project. And if that starts getting some rewards, right, then choose, probably I would use the word here, choose to be like a monk here, because I was telling Swamiji, 2 years, 2.5 years to 3 years, right, probably I and Nishanth, didn't even see a single rupee coming out of our company till date. That is when major people gave up, but we chose to go in because we were young and we had that energy and the resilience to continue. So although startups today are probably a fad, or people will call it more glamorous, right? But there's a lot of hard work that goes in. And that is where you guys can excel apart from the outsiders there. So the risk was always there. Failure was the last thing that we would have taken. So after you accept these two results, right, then it is way up itself. So that's how we chose to get into a startup and start doing it.
There's one more question which some of students would like to know. One is this Indian Institute of Management at NSR Cell. What is the culture of that NSR Cell? How do the students who are there, part of that program, how do they work? How do they, talk? How do they interact? How do they learn? I think these insights into the minds of those, those budding entrepreneurs, which is probably $1 billion industry probably. How can that learning can be, shared across, where these young minds can take it forward and do that? I would like to know more about that culture in that NSR Cell.
So NSR Cell is, the country is one of the oldest and the most mature incubation centers in the country, wherein it's housed inside the Indian Institute of Management Bangalore campus. The major thing is, I was just discussing previously with Swamiji, wherein you need not do your MBAs or you need not come from the business background to start something on your own, okay? The basic thing that you would learn from NSR Cell is how would you start start knowing more on the business as a whole, as a concept. That the major introduction would be happening from there, okay? And from there to, a few strategies and the metrics and how would you look at finance, all those things would be exposed to you guys. But nowadays, I think you guys are getting more exposed on these front from Shark Tank, India or US. So majority of the people know of these concepts. So that is the foundation where you would get. And moreover, like what Gaurav was saying, right, networking. That is one major thing that we learned as to be an entrepreneur. First is to go network with people, exchange your ideas, and that is the base that NSR Cell gives. They bring in more leaders from different backgrounds, and they would help you start thinking in the right direction, if not, or what wrong direction need not be taken, right? Those things can be pointed out at NSR Cell, and that's how you can start discussing with fellow entrepreneurs as well, who are coming from different backgrounds, right? So you can start discussing those things wherein you can do some cross-sellings or just, get to more knowledge from the industry. So that's how NSR Cell has been helpful for us. Yeah.
I mean, just to add a couple of things like what Nishanth said, right? So I think we have this concept in physics where no direction is all directions, right? You can choose any direction in general. So probably when you're starting up, right, there's no fixed timing, like probably 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 is something. Like probably for me and Nishanth, when we started in NSR Cell, right, the major help they gave us is they gave us a space to work. And we utilized it to a thing where we used to be there at morning 8. We used to leave at night probably 11:30, 12. And we used to switch off the whole lights and go. And see, this is the benefit when you want to start up, right? So there are other forces which will fall in place to help you out with it. So the culture there is, one is you're free to do your work. So there's no 9 to 6 that now I'm starting 6 o'clock, I close, probably go out, do something, right? We used to be there working till 11. So we used to put those extra 5-6 hours a day than our peers. Second, probably the help that we used to get from other startups, right? They used to do something and they used to come back and say, hey Gaurav, we figured out, probably if you do this marketing, right, the cost reduces by 30 rupees. So that probably would be a help because I don't have to experiment that. So the culture there is very open. We share our learnings because probably here also, right, there's always a competition associated, right? So which is good. But probably sharing your thoughts to others will not diminish you, which will actually help you score better or come back better. So the culture there is very similar, where you learn from others, from their mistakes, majorly more than their success, right? We learn from their mistakes because those things we don't choose it, because we know if we do that we'll fail, right? So we don't choose what mistakes they have done. So if we have the open learnings, right, that is one which will set your basis right there. So that's how it has helped us at least.
We'll open the questions to the audience. Yeah, we have Naren.
So when we start, like when we have a startup, we need investment. When we get those investments, how do we reassure those investors that we'll give them returns while also ensuring that we have a profit on the side, especially when you know that your turnover at the starting is going to be small?
Okay. Probably I'll take it in a different way. Say, when you start up, right, I would say till the day you can survive without an investment, right, that's a much better way. That's called bootstrapping, right? So where you probably do all the laces up and survive till the day, right? The best investment that you will get is when your customers are paying you, right? So there were days in India probably between 2014 to about 17 where people used to invest on ideas. So today people want some customers. Now they want some revenues. Recently, after having some funding drop, people want to see profits, right? So you don't probably promise someone saying, I'll pay you so much return. Then you're actually taking something like an interest. It is better you take an interest from a bank than from an investor, right? So the bet here is, see, there are different ways of investment that people do. People put money on stocks, people put money on real estate. Startup is a high risk, high reward, right? Probably today I put in 1 crore, maybe. So the startup is valued at, say, at 10 crores. Maybe 2 years later, they raise an investment at about 100 crore valuation. I'm saying valuation wise. And someone comes in at 10 crore. So the first person who's put in 1 crore, right, his value in the company would be close to about 9.5 crores, right? So you're not promising his return or such, but you're giving him a way, telling him, hey, probably you can bet on me as a horse, because I'm a winning horse, and I'll help you probably multiply your money by certain X's, which will give you more returns than what you would have made in the market. And what money you will be getting, right? Probably you use it for your own growth, right? So probably some guys have a 3-year growth period. Some guys have a 5-year. Bigger companies who are into app-based thing, right? Probably you guys must be aware of, say, a Swiggy or Zomato, right? They won't be profitable in a day, probably a year, because they have to keep acquiring customers, right? For them, it's a long bet. So you choose an investor who's willing to be with you initially and probably make that journey over next 5-6 years, right? So choose those investors and don't promise a fixed return, because anything that you put in a document will become black and white. So even investors who are coming know it. When they're investing in a startup, they're betting on the founder first and not the idea. So be that founder first. It is easy to raise investment out there.
Good evening, sir. As a leader, if some difference in opinion raises in your team, how would you manage it?
So this is bound to happen, but you being a leader, right? First thing that you have to think is from the company's perspective. What you can be wrong, or your counterpart can be right. It's okay. It's not a game of ego, right? End of the day, is it beneficial for the company? Okay. So that's where the majority of the conflict would be resolved. Okay. And then if it's not getting resolved, we can go ahead and then get more results or get a third opinion, wherein we can go deeper which one can be right. But end of the day, if it's not being a ego game wherein, okay, you were right and I was right and you were wrong, then that's never going to work. So that you will, being a leader, good leader, you'll get that patience, or you'll get that perspective. Right? Perspective is something that you need to keep in mind, and conflict of the resolutions would be happening automatically.
So I think probably difference of opinion is good, yeah, because that is when then people are thinking, okay. So you don't want only yourself to think as a leader so that the others don't think. So like probably how I work and how Nishanth works still is in a different way in the company, right? But very nicely mentioned, we take a call based on how the company will improve with these decisions, right? So when you guys will end up probably having your own team or being a leader in your team, right? You know why probably the CXOs of a company are paid the highest? Because their major decision is a yes or no. If I take a yes, what will be the result for this? If I say no, what will be the result for this? So that is why they are highly paid. So difference of opinion is a must, because that is when you will also realign your thinking, saying, hey, probably this is another way to choose it. So it's something like, I think we get taught in our subjects thinking out of the box, right? So we'll be probably thinking in a straight line, someone comes with a different opinion. It is good. Resolvement should always happen thinking what's best for the company and not for your individual safe. If that's the opinion, I think you can go ahead with it.
Good evening, sir. Sir, why did you choose doing B2B rather than doing B2C, sir?
Oh, this is more of an investor question you asked. See, two ways, right? When we started, if we had chosen B2C, right, we'll have to do a lot of marketing, because probably Nishanth is sitting in Hebbal in Bangalore. I am present in Banshankari. There's some new guy coming to Whitefield, right? So we have to do a lot of marketing. That's a spend for me. Second, in B2C, right, I'll have to probably spend a lot on my logistics, because I'll have to send, say, one item to one part of the city, another item to another part of the city. Considering these factors and the limited capital that we had, we thought probably B2B is a better bet for us, because then we'll do delivery or logistics once, where we furnish the whole apartment instead of doing one flat. So that's when, with limited resources that we had, we thought B2B was a better option, and that played well for us.
Good evening, sir. Sir, you told that networking is very important in terms of expanding a business, sir. What is the best way to expand your network and connect across more people? Connect across to more people.
See, probably when you come outside, right? So as a professional, the first thing is, probably now you guys might have probably a Facebook or an Instagram where you're still networking with your friends, right? So you're still knowing them better. Probably once you come out as a professional, right, you tend to have a LinkedIn account, right? So LinkedIn is more like a social network for professionals. So you get to know more people outside there. That's first thing. That's more on behind the screen. Off the screens, right, I would still suggest people probably go out networking for some events which are happening in the city, right? So there will be some of the other events. Even if you go to a concert, right, make sure you meet some new person there. Probably end up as at least telling, hey, I'm Gaurav, I'm from this company, what do you do? So at least there'll be people who will be open to tell you, hey, I'm this, I'm doing this. So that's where you network. The second major thing is travel a lot, yeah. You guys are young, there is very minimum requirements you would have. Travel, that is where you get to know a lot of people in general. So these are the two things as students you can do. But once behind the screen, I would say do LinkedIn networking a lot, that would help.
Add one more thing, from our experience, right? One of us used to make sure that we network. In the early days, wherein it was a compulsion between us, like we used to get one connect at least, either me or Gaurav. So this mandated us to realize the power of networking, okay, and then and that's how we in fact grew. Just imagine both of you or you, the founders of the team, as a team, you have no one in Bangalore. Okay, I'm from Gangavati, he's from Hubli. We have no one in Bangalore. How is that we can start up something and then raise funds and get more clients and then build a team? Only through networking, and that is what we can do. Yeah.
The best thing here is right from the batches of 1953s, right? You have batches till 2023 here. So just the alumni network you have is the huge. So probably start off doing that. So probably today also we've come more as an alum because we knew Swamiji, we've been from here, right? So even that networking will help a lot.
I have a small question, because when I was talking with both of them, they were letting me know of how they spend their time in Vidyashala. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for the students also know how they were able to translate Vidyashala's routine leadership into their real life things. So some illustration, something which you can share with the students of how you spent your time here and how those attitudes or those incidents were reflected in your workplace.
First of all, punctuality. We are never late on time. We are well planners in life or in a day-to-day routine also. There is no, you need not require even a single bell to do this, okay? That's number one. Discipline, it will become an innate nature of your behavior, okay? That's number two, okay? And the third one is where I said no work is small work, right? Believe me, it's a blessing for you guys, okay? Wherein you'll never hesitate to do one small work, because starting from your plate washing to sanitation, you'll get it done everything. So in real life, we'll never hesitate to get our hands dirty, okay? Be it physical or be it emotionally or be it intellectually also. You'll never hesitate to get your hands dirty or your minds dirty, okay? Because we will have that daring enough to think beyond, okay? And then physical fitness. Physical fitness is something that it is proportionally, it's related. When we are fit bodily, mentally, mental also, we will be quick, we'll be more outgoing. So these are few learnings. I think Gaurav will cover the rest, I guess.
I think Nishanth did mention that I spent half of my 8th standard in the square. I think probably half till 10th standard I was in the square itself. So, so two things here, right? See, here probably when you guys are selected itself, right? There's a stringent process that goes through, right? So probably someone might be out of the top 10 in the class also when your results comes, but that's okay. The learnings that you can carry forward from here to an outside, right? Apart from academics is huge, right? If I see probably 9 months, right? If you calculate 9 months, you guys are probably here on your sports dress, your school dress, and your pajamas, right? If that's a minimalistic living that you guys have, right? Something adding on top of it and starting of a company, you put more energy to it. So we carried it forward. When we started, right? We probably stayed in a small room where probably our other guys were still enjoying out there, right? So that's how we started. Today also when we probably spend some money, right? We know where to spend a single money and we keep an account of it. So that what will help, first thing. Second is the responsibility that you give to a team. Probably, I think you guys have had the first college day here, right? Probably last year it was not there. If you see a parallel bar thing, right? Once the beat is given, right? The person standing down or person standing on the, probably the pole, right? He has to perform his duties. That's what the trust you guys have on your teammate, right? It's that probably the beat is given, I'll do my work. Probably my friend Nishanth, who's on the top tier, will do his work, right? Continue this along with the team also. You give them the responsibility. You have certain responsibility to yourself to tell them what to do, but don't interfere too much in their work that they feel that you're only carrying their work. So have that confidence in your team and pass it over there. And whoever is probably punished here also, right? You guys also will have a good future. So don't worry. Even if you're punished here, along with punishment, if you're doing well, it will be much better. So it's okay, even if you're getting punished. But don't get too much punished. But in general, more of the hilarious way, right? So as a team that you carry forward, because maybe some guys will get a chance to be monitors in the classes, monitors in the blocks, right? Apart from that, everybody has gone through a training where you guys can be leaders outside. So choose that. That's the major differentiator between a Vidyashalite and an outsider. So carry it forward there.
We are streaming also. So there's some online questions. I just want to put it to Nishanth and Gaurav. One question is from one of our old students, Shankar Vashishta. He asks them, what are the qualities we need to see in people while hiring them and building a team when you want to build a company? So qualities of your team members.
Okay. Even it's a new experience for us also. Back in 2018, we hired our first recruit. And then it was a learning curve for us as well. Especially in the early days of your startup, right? You want someone with almost a similar kind of a thirst for learning things. okay, and to be able to grow something like what the founders are doing, and to be a part of that particular learning curve. So someone with a thirst, and wherein they will be able to share the same kind of vision with the founders, that is one major requirement that we would require, especially in the founding member team. Okay, so right now we are at Settlers, we're a team of 15. Maybe in another 1 month we'll be a team of 20 to 25. Okay, the same thing is what we look at even with the new interviews that we conduct, right? What is a thirst? What kind of a thirst for knowledge that these guys have? Money is always a requirement that is there everywhere. Apart from money or the kind of rewards that they'll be able to get, what is it they can learn? That is what we look at. For example, if with the right kind of input or with the right kind of participation, will they be, do they have an appetite to become the next set of leaders? That is what we truly look at. And then again, being a team player, right, wherein they need not be greedy. It's all about the mindset that they have, and with what intentions that they are coming. We look at those kinds of qualities during recruitment. Yeah.
Sir, about your furnishing company, sir. Sir, what are the ideas that you use for your furnitures? Because some people have got many different tastes about it.
Come again?
The ideas for your furnitures. Everything cannot be the same, so do you have any small tweaks in it or so? And also some people, they like to just go to a carpenter and get the things done.
Okay.
Yeah. So see, we are not a B2C company, right? So we are renting it out to corporates. Say, just to give an example, let's consider paying guest, right? When you're giving it to a paying guest kind of a facility, you need similar kind of functionally working products. They wouldn't need a hi-fi designer furniture because they'll not be able to pay for it in general, right? So they just want a functionally working product which can help students or someone coming and staying there. So our focus is to give something usable for functional furniture which is of a similar design to corporate. Then working on a B2C, because probably including in our team, right, his taste and my taste would change. So that's a major reason why we are not catering to a B2C, and we're not a designing company wherein we design furniture and give. We are a furniture renting, electronics renting, computer peripheral renting company. So we give functionally working products to the corporates.
Sir, yes, so sir, when you're networking with other people, sir, what is your thought process that you go through when you're networking him, when you want to ask him something, or when you want to, have cooperate with him, or you want something from him? What is your, thought process that goes through in you? Could you elaborate on that?
The first thing is, it's a pure connecting kind of a thing. I mean, what kind of a person he is, from what kind of a background he is from, maybe to be able to listen first, right? Listen from his story or his learnings or his journey. So it is it's a genuine listening to someone and then getting to know that person. That should be our first thing. And then going forward, you need not decide immediately what you would need from that particular person, because first you have to understand that person, and then maybe share the same kind of a thoughts from our end as well. And that is how, if there is some synergy that is there, a normal actual bridge would be formed, right? And wherein you guys would start exchanging your connections or your ideas and basically help out each other. If that kind of a understanding implicitly is formed, then that is where you would, that connection would be formed in a genuine way. And you never know, after 3 months or 6 months, if you remember something, then maybe you can connect with this particular person to the next person that you have met. If person A that you have met 3 months ago, if he's doing he's supplying some things, right? And you need not be knowing someone at the point, but when you go and meet some other person B, and he's at the receiving end, maybe you should make sure that you guys should connect those two people, and they would, and that kind of a passing on the baton is what would help the ecosystem and also the connection they would be forming, right?
Good evening, sir. So just as we know, there are a lot of firms based on similar ideas. So naturally, there will be a lot of competition. So how do you handle the competition in the society, or rather, how do you manage the pressure from the society?
Okay. To begin with, right, you have to see the market sizing. Okay, it's slightly technical, right? It's okay if few people are already doing this. If you believe that you'll be able to provide some value add, okay, to the market or to your consumer, that is a prerequisite. When we started as a renting company, right, furniture renting company, there were already big players doing this, and they were well funded. Okay, someone asked why B2B. That was the whole reason altogether. First thing is competition, and at the same time, less funds. Okay, being bootstrapped, how is that we'll be able to make an impact? And that is how we transitioned to a B2B kind of a thing, because no one else in the market was doing it. B2B is business to business, you understand that, right? So, for example, if you travel to Bangalore and set up a house, okay, you take a house for rent, right? The inside ones can be provided by my current competitors, okay, and the market was already established. What if there are some co-living companies or co-working companies, or you want to set up an office, right? All those ones weren't being able to be provided on rent. So, and then the stickiness. So we carved a niche out of ourselves in the market, and we did that. So a subtle creativeness, or to be able to create that small niche in the market that is already there, that is where you'll be able to beat the competition also, or basically you need not beat the competition, to be honest. Okay? You can just able to create that value add to the economy there, market. Yeah.
Just to add, because it's a very important question, when probably out of 400 here, 2 might get a similar idea, right? So 2 ways to do it. How big is the market, right? If you currently look at India as such, right, we are one of the biggest consumer country, because we have more population who can actually buy certain things, right? Compared to a country like UAE, where the population is very limited. There, similar companies adding and fighting over a pie is very small. Here, you can have similar companies, probably instead of 5, you can have 10, but everybody will have their own customer base, right? So if you're still fighting over in our country, right, one is, how big is the market for you, first thing. Second, work on your strengths rather than working on how do I defeat the other company, right? If you can work on your strength, right, that's a key differentiator between you and your competitor in general. So these are the 2 things that you'll have to leave. One is the market, and what is the key differentiator that your company has compared to the other one.
Good evening, sir. My question was, how did you completely get the idea of settlers? Like out of those complete house renting business or complete apartment renting business, just renting the furniture to other businesses, how did you get that exact idea? And a consecutive question with that is, how was your Vidyashala, with the topic of startup? Like when you were in Vidyashala, would you used to talk about startups, about business plans in time of studies, leisures and all?
No, I guess probably I put it up in my first talk also, right? What you guys are actually seeing here is not what we went through, right? The times were different. Probably in 2004 to 2009, right? Startup was still not a buzzword in the whole country, right? Probably we used to have, probably the first feeling that probably we went through Vidyashala is when we went on a trip to, say, Infosys back then, right? So the Mysuru campus. That was the wow moment for us, saying, hey, there's a big company here, these guys are recruiting, this is where you end up work. That is when, see, Vidyashala can probably open up a curtain and give you some light. So what Swamiji's today are doing is probably helping you out with understanding what is happening in the actual world outside. Back then, probably Infosys was also a startup someday, and they had grown big. So we went through there, we saw those things. Startup was not a word back in 2004 at least. Why settlers as an idea, right? So like he clearly mentioned, right? We had a choice choosing between B2C and B2B, right? The only differentiation in B2B is we package everything in one go and give it to a certain building than giving it to an apartment, right? That is where we could save a lot of costs. And we ourselves faced the issue because as a consumer, as a B2C, because we were not from Bangalore. When we went to Bangalore, we probably wanted a fridge or probably a TV on rent, and we couldn't get it. So we had to take from someone on rentals. So we just changed the idea, probably packaged it in a different way and executed it to B2B then to a B2C. So in fact, you guys are very lucky. Probably you guys know what a startup is, what are certain B2C, B2B factors in. Probably we didn't have that exposure back then because whatever was there, we had the knowledge of that. It goes with the generation. So what you guys are getting today is much more than what we have got, but what we have got in that day is much more than what our previous generations have got.
Sir, we all see Shark Tank in Vidyashala. So many people come and they ask the investors for funding in exchange for some equity. So could you please explain how this, by gaining this equity, it's an advantage for them and how they make money out of it? And can you also tell us how the sharks help the company people to build and improve their growth?
Okay. See, I'll explain the process in just how this equity market work, right? Say today, we've started settlers, right? I and Nishanth own 50-50% each, right? Say probably you as an investor comes to us, so we probably pitch an idea to you. We say the valuation of the company is about 10 crores and we would need about 1 crore from you, right? So once you put in 1 crore in us, you hold 10%, right? This 10% to you is given by 2 of us because we are the only 2 in the company. So my holding from 50 becomes 45. Nishanth's holding from 50 becomes 45 and you hold up 10, right? So technically on paper today, because you've invested 1 crore, the value of the company is 10. You become 1 crore worth of owner, I and he becomes 4.5 worth of owner, right? Now probably we grow from certain revenues, we grow to a certain higher revenues and we go out in the market. Now we say our company is valued at 50 crores and we want to raise in about another 10 crores, right? So for 50 crores, if you're raising 10, you dilute only that bit of it, right? So once that dilution happens, that happens from 3 of us now. So your 10%, my 4.5 and his 4.5 together is diluted. So someone putting in 10 crores now at a 50 crore valuation becomes an owner of 20%, right? So for his 20%, all 3 of us dilute proportionately. So your holding from 10 becomes 8. My 45 is reduced by 4.5 and 4.5 again, same with him. But now if you look at the value, right, you were an owner of say 5 crore worth of company initially, right? Now you're owner of 10 crore worth of company, now you're owner of 50 crore worth of company. So your 8% is valued at 50 crores. So that's how your equity increases. That's the reason why it's a high risk and high reward. And how do sharks add value? See, the sharks sitting there, right, have built a company, have scaled it to a certain level and have executed it to that thing. So they have their own resources first thing. They're very well networked in the industry. Probably for them, anything is probably a phone call away today, right? So whether you want an investor to work for you is a question that you will have to answer. So probably for us, we would have taken them more strategically. If somebody is coming from an electronics domain, right, we would have chosen them because he can supply us his electronics apart from the money. So it depends really on what sharks can add value, but they really do have a value, but how much time that you will be able to extract from them is a question. But equity as such, right, once you invest, the value of the company increases. Second, somebody comes in, the value again increases, but we dilute proportionately. Third time when somebody invested, a bigger guy comes in more than the shark, some VC company comes in, right? So when a venture capitalist comes in, he says, Gaurav, I would want probably 20% of the company. Whoever is the minority shareholder, say somebody holds 1%, right? Let's buy them off. So what happens, instead of company getting 20 crores, he gives us 18 crores, right? He buys 2 crores worth of shares from the previous guy. Say now if he buys 2 crore worth of shares from you, you have anyways made your 1 crore plus 1 crore in return, right? You still hold, instead of 8, you still hold 6% of a 50 crore company. So you have made a return, you still have equity in the company. This is how equity funding works.
I think it's 6:10. I have one question for them. I think we want to know how this, something to do with education, how do both of them think about this current model of education, not just in Vidyashala, but in general as such? How this education is actually, trying to give a platform to the real world scenario? How do you think, is it doing justice to the system, or, there's something called theory and practical, what we learn at our engineering and medical college, and once you go out into the market or go into the professional field, it's a completely new ball game altogether. So how do you think? Because I think this is a good initiative. We have brought in experts from the field to kind of interact with the students. This is a beginning, but how do you take it forward at a bigger scale? How can this education actually reach up to those real world scenarios? That's my question.
I think the last question is the most difficult to answer. Probably rightly said, Swamiji. There is still a 180-degree difference between theory and practical, right? So what we learn might not be how it works, right? So probably, let's take a real world scenario, right? Probably we are selling apples today, right? Apple as such, the fruit, not the phones, okay? So somebody comes and says, probably, hey, let's market it on maybe in Instagram, because this will give you some more customers. That might have worked for certain case scenario where someone who's selling dresses and not someone who's selling apples, because someone who's selling apples might not want to buy it from an Instagram, but would want to buy it from a grocery app, right? So all the learnings are true, but what use cases will happen for a particular scenario, right? So that's a major one for us. So theory is necessary. Theory gives you a base from where you can start thinking, but what practicality you add, right? Bring it back to the theory, so that next time someone does it, this is a part of his theory. If you see our education also, right? It is progressing as we say. Probably what we've studied was taught in a way of stories to us, right? Right from your Panchatantra, even the modern day Tinkle also we used to study, right? Had a thought of storytelling in it, right? That we are carrying forward. Today, if I am selling a vision of my company, it is through an art of storytelling. So that's a theory part. The practical part is what I put in it. So theory and practical might be different, but what you add in practicality, bring it back to the theory so that the next guy can improve towards it.
Okay, I think it's
I thank both the sirs for their time, and I'm sure that everybody enjoyed this session. They spoke on the basic structure of entrepreneurship. They told us about the practical applications in order to run a successful business. They spoke about how leadership affects us in running a business, and I truly believe that this talk was amazing. Now I would like to invite Swamiji to to give sir some books as a token of appreciation. I request everybody to rise. We'll end the program with Shanti Mantra.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.